So you probably already know by now that the new Helldivers 2 Warbond, Viper Commandos, just got revealed today and will release on Thursday, June 13th, exactly 1 week from now. In this Warbond, there are 2 new weapons, patterns for vehicles, a throwing knife, a new booster, and 2 new armor sets. I'll get into exactly what each one does as we talk about them individually, but that's really not my focus for the video. I'm not here to pass along the news and move on, because plenty of creators have already beaten me to the jump, and you probably already know what you'll be getting. So you may be asking, what am I actually making this video for? Well, I kind of just want to discuss how great this Warbond is shaping up to be. And not from a meta perspective, but more so focused on the design choices and thematics. Because to me, Arrowhead's choices with Viper Commandos tells us that they are listening to our feedback. Just looking at the blog post they put out about this Warbond tells us enough. I mean, literally, in the first sentence, they write, and I quote, "We have been listening to your feedback as we develop our Warbonds in general. The idea behind each Warbond is to allow our Helldivers to roleplay their favorite soldier fantasies within our universe. But it's important that these are fantasies that actually appeal to our players." They then continue to say that they are changing the way they approach Warbonds. First, they plan to slow down the pace at which they're released in order to give them more time to polish the designs. Secondly, they confirm they are changing the arrangement of items in each Warbond to make room for new items and higher quality armor and weapons. They want to stop giving out more of the same and focus on quality over quantity. And despite this being their first Warbond under the new philosophy, it is clearly a significant upgrade over Polar Patriots, and I'd go as far to say that it might be the best Warbond we've ever seen. Arrowhead themselves describe Viper Commandos as their strongest themed Warbond yet, and they say it has the goal of selling a fantasy of being up close and personal. And I think they absolutely crushed it. Yes, obviously we haven't been able to use the weapons yet, so there's a chance that this drops and the 2 weapons absolutely suck. The same chance exists for the booster and armor passives, but let's just look at it from a purely content perspective and not a balanced one. Because when I look at the items included in this Warbond, I am instantly excited based on the prospect that it's just so different. Unlike most of the previous Warbonds, which honestly just kind of seemed like a mashup of random items thrown together, Viper Commandos very clearly aims for this jungle theme and it completely knocks it out of the park. I mean, just compare it to something like Polar Patriots. Polar Patriots claimed to be a snow-themed Warbond, but had no armor passives relating to ice, snow, or cold, had no cryo weapons or grenades, and in fact, the grenade was an incendiary grenade in a snow-themed Warbond. How does a fire grenade make sense in something that is snow-themed? Well, it doesn't. Viper Commandos, on the other hand, is 100% jungle themed. It's giving serious Rambo vibes. On top of nailing the thematic goals of the Warbond, there is content included in here that has never been included before. The most obvious being the camo patterns for your vehicles. It has been long teased and theorized that Exosuit and Pelican 1 customization would come at some point, and I have a feeling that this is only the beginning. I have hope that one day we'll have a wide variety of customization features available to us for any and all vehicles that exist. But this camo alone is a good step in the right direction. On top of the patterns, we also finally get a new armor passive. Peak Physique not only has an absolutely incredible name, but it's genuinely a good passive. It says it improves melee damage and weapon handling. We don't know how much exactly of an improvement we'll see here, but I'm just grateful that it's something new. Speaking of something new, this new armor is visually just so sick. Most of the time, a lot of armor sets are just slight variants of armors that already exist in the game. So it's a true breath of fresh air to see that the PH-202 Twig Snapper and PH-9 Predator are fully original designs. Like, this might be a little weird to say, but the bulging biceps on a Helldiver is something that I never thought I'd want to see, but I'm happy we have them. On top of that, the skin tones are randomized, which I think is a nice touch that reminds players that we're not just playing as one Helldiver. Every time we die, a new diver takes our place, and we are simply an expendable soldier in this galactic war. Like I said, everything here flows seamlessly in this jungle theme, and the throwing knife is the best example of that. I don't know if this item could fit into any other Warbond better than it could here. Being a gritty, up-close and personal jungle Helldiver cannot be complemented any better than having a literal knife. This is so much better than getting a random grenade, which would have probably ended up being something we'd already seen. Obviously, again, we don't know exactly how good this throwing knife will be, or even how the mechanics work. I'm really hoping this thing has a large capacity, like I'm talking upwards of 8, maybe even 10, because I'm assuming that this thing can't penetrate medium armor considering it's a knife. But hey, never say never. Maybe this thing drops and it can go through charger armor or something. The one shot of combat we see in the trailer is against a warrior, and it does one-shot it, so at least we know it could do that. We also see this pose in the trailer, which I assume is just the default holding pose, but it sort of looks like a combat stance to me, and it got me thinking. Since the armor is all about melee damage, it would be a completely missed opportunity to not allow us to use this knife for melee. I mean, why not, right? Only time will tell, but my fingers are crossed that come next Thursday we will be trudging through jungles stabbing bugs. Now, we also need to take a look at the two new weapons, the AR-23A Liberator Carbine and the SG-22 Bushwhacker. The Liberator Carbine is the only new primary weapon and is described as being a shortened version that handles differently than the classic Liberator. It has higher recoil but faster handling that allows for spraying and praying up close. I don't want to sit here and yap about this new AR, but I am so happy they decided to add an assault rifle in this Warbond. Hopefully it's a good one, because the last few have been complete flops. If you ask me, the Adjudicator is underwhelming and the Tenderizer completely blows. I mean, really, if you look back at a wider perspective at all of the ARs that are currently in the game, I'd go as far to say that the original Liberator is probably the best one, which is pretty sad to say. So that being said, I really hope that the Liberator Carbine releases and it brings us the powerful assault rifle fantasy that has desperately been missing from this game. Now, the second and final weapon in Viper Commandos is the SG-22 Bushwhacker, a shotgun that's a secondary. It's a sawed-off triple barrel with two firing modes, one which allows for one bullet at a time, and the other allows you to shoot all three bullets at once. The Liberator Carbine is pretty similar to things we already have. Hopefully it performs differently in-game, but the same cannot be said for the Bushwhacker. Much like the armor passive, patterns, and the throwing knives, the Bushwhacker is a completely unique design, and will probably bring a different playstyle and strategy when it comes to secondary weapons. Speaking of unique designs and playstyles, lastly in this Warbond we have the new booster, Experimental Infusion. I can admit that Motivational Shocks from Polar Patriots is a really cool booster, but outside of that, I haven't been a huge fan of the Warbond boosters. But this one, like every other item here, has Home Run written all over it. Experimental Infusion buffs your stims with a movement speed increase and a damage reduction. I have a good feeling that this might become a staple booster, but the way it'll impact your game aside, the theme is just so sick. I cannot wait to drop down into the jungles with this new gear and do my best impression of a Space Rambo. Also, speaking of jungles, I don't see enough people talking about this, but the environment shown in the trailer is brand new. We've never seen this jungle/swamp biome before, and I feel like I've said this a million times, but my god, it fits with the theme of the Warbond so well. I feel like this new biome will probably be released with the new patch that's coming before the Warbond, but it could also just drop the same day as the Warbond. I don't know, but I think it just makes more sense to see it bundled in with the patch. On top of all of the new loot, of course we get 300 super credits, some new emotes and victory poses, capes, player banners, and we get a new player title, which is a first in a Warbond, I believe, so that's super cool. Also, I have to mention that in the previous premium Warbonds, we never actually got a new emote. They've all been victory poses, but here it looks like we have a new emote, which is a reference to the classic meme that originated from Predator, the arm wrestle handshake. Again, I love it. But not everyone feels the same way. I've seen a couple of people out there saying that this Warbond actually isn't that great. Like I said earlier, I think this Warbond might be one of the best we've ever gotten, but some people are pointing towards the fact that we only get 2 weapons and 2 armor sets. Typically, we get 3 armor sets and 4 weapons, so at face value, it is a downgrade in that department. But my counterpoint is simply that we may get less, but it's higher quality, and not only that, I think the higher quality of items and new patterns more than make up for missing out on an armor set and 2 weapons, but that's for you guys to decide. If you don't think this Warbond is worth the 1,000 super credits it will cost, then that's a totally fair opinion to have. It is your money after all, and I won't sit here and tell you how to spend it. But personally, I will 100% be buying this Warbond the second it comes out. I do plan to make a more in-depth review of it when I get the chance to use it, specifically of the weapons booster and armor passives, basically all the stuff that isn't cosmetic. I'll be sure to let you know if it's good or not. But to bring this video back around to the main point, I am very happy with the direction the developers have gone here. Actions speak louder than words, so them saying they've been listening doesn't do much, but revealing this to us does a ton in my opinion. Everything Arrowhead has done the past 2 weeks or so, from the release of the Emancipator to the Black Hole event, and now to the reveal of the Viper Commandos, has restored a ton of my faith in them. And not to toot my own horn here, but in my State of Helldivers 2 video, which was essentially spent criticizing Arrowhead for 26 minutes, I used up 2 of those minutes to say that I believe they'll turn around the direction of the game and that they just need time to do it. I said that if they need to slow down production on Warbonds or new content, it would greatly benefit the game in the long haul, and I think we're seeing exactly that now. They literally just said in the blog post that they'll be changing the frequency of Warbond releases, and it's been nearly a full month since the last major balance patch. They've been spending the last month and a half gearing up for the future, and now much of the community is excitedly awaiting for the new patch's arrival. We don't know exactly what day it's coming on, but we know it will be coming next week, that is for sure. With all that being said, I think June is going to be a massive month for Helldivers 2, and Viper Commandos is only the beginning. My name is Easy, thank you so much for watching, it means much more than you could possibly know. I very much appreciate it. If you enjoyed, drop a like, and if you want more content like this, drop a sub. Seriously, next week is going to be massive for Helldivers 2, with both the patch and the Warbond at the same time. So if you don't want to miss anything, be sure to subscribe. Again, I appreciate you for watching, have an incredible day, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!